Let's talk about the most critical incident maybe in the last 40 years of naval warfare, the sinking of the Moskva cruiser. The sinking of the Moskva cruiser on April 13th, 2022 marked one of the most significant naval events in recent history. That evening, Ukraine successfully struck the Russian flagship with 2 Neptune anti-ship missiles, a bold and decisive act in the conflict. It took the crew a few hours after the strike to begin evacuation. This delay likely exacerbated the damage, making the situation unmanageable. The Russian media initially reported the event as a major blaze, avoiding any mention of missile strikes. The full extent of the incident became clear only later. By the following morning, the Moskva had reportedly sunk while being towed towards Sevastopol. Out of the crew, approximately 240 people survived. That's about half of the total complement. This event not only caused a tremendous blow to the Russian naval operations, but also to the morale and naval strategy in the Black Sea. The loss of the Moskva, a symbol of Russian naval power, had significant strategic and psychological consequences. The sinking of the Moskva cruiser had far-reaching consequences for the Russian naval operations and strategy in the Black Sea. This event was a major trauma to the Russian Navy, not only because it lost a warship, which is often equated to losing a piece of national territory, but also because it was their flagship, named after the Russian capital city itself, further amplifying the symbolic and strategic loss. The psychological impact was immense. The loss of the Moskva undermined Russian naval superiority and severely affected morale within the fleet. Additionally, the Moskva was equipped with advanced air defense systems. With its sinking, Russia lost a significant portion of its aerial defense capability in the Black Sea, leaving other ships more vulnerable to attack. This event exposed command and control problems within the Russian Navy. Moskva's destruction signaled the death of Russia's anti-access area denial strategy in the region. Following the Moskva's loss, Russia was forced to abandon the Snake Island campaign, and the inability to replace the ship due to the Montreux Convention regulations further hindered operations. Overall, the Moskva sinking fundamentally altered the course of the Russian naval strategy, showing the vulnerability of even the most powerful ships in modern asymmetric warfare tactics. The sinking of the Moskva cruiser provides several critical lessons for naval warfare, particularly highlighting 2 fundamental mistakes. First, continuous operation in standoff range of enemy weapons was a major miscalculation. The Moskva remained within the effective range of Ukraine's Neptune anti-ship missiles for an extended period, despite intelligence that should have alerted Russian forces to this danger. By not accounting for the threat these missiles posed, the Moskva became a sitting target. Second, an intelligence failure played a key role in the loss of the cruiser. Russia failed to detect the readiness of Ukraine's Neptune missile systems. Had they known that Ukraine had a fully operational anti-ship missile capability, they might have repositioned the Moskva to a safer distance or taken a stronger defensive measure. These mistakes underline the importance of up-to-date intelligence and the need to avoid overconfidence in naval dominance, particularly when operating within the strike range of enemy weapons. There were significant mistakes made during the incident. According to many naval defense doctrines, firing only a few missiles is generally not enough to sink a large combatant, such as a destroyer, cruiser, or even a frigate. NATO documents provide some calculations though it's difficult to give you an exact number. Generally, firing fewer than 4 to 6 missiles simultaneously is not considered significant to sink a modern frigate or destroyer. This is why many experts initially believed the Neptune missile must have hit sensitive parts of the ship, such as the missile magazine. However, photos and reports suggest that the missiles struck the ship on the port side, likely near the engine room. This makes it somewhat surprising that just 2 anti-ship missiles managed to sink such a large vessel like the Moskva. This led many to speculate that negligence played a role in the incident. According to reports, the crew began abandoning ship just 2 to 3 hours after the strike, which seems like a short time for effective firefighting. Of course, we're not there, so we don't know the exact sequence of events. However, when compared to other incidents, such as the USS Cole, which endured an asymmetric attack by Al-Qaeda in 2000, the difference is stark. Firefighting efforts on the USS Cole lasted about 96 exhausting hours, and they saved the ship. In the provided picture, we can see the fire control radar appears to be in its default position. and the hatches for the vertical launch system, VLS, are closed. This led to experts to believe that the Moskva was unable to deploy sufficient countermeasures. This also raised the questions about the crew's training and the anti-ship missile defense system. Moreover, despite the Sevastopol naval base only being 90 nautical miles away, no damage control teams were sent to assist the Moskva. If the crew had been able to sustain firefighting efforts for just 8 or 9 hours, additional teams could have been deployed by the Black Sea Fleet to help contain the damage and possibly save the ship. So some key takeaways are the intelligence failure to understand and then communicate the threat to the Moskva led to extended operations within the Neptune missile's operating envelope. Moskva did not continuously operate their air search, surface search, and fire control sensors while in contested waters. This left them vulnerable to not detecting an incoming attack in time to respond to it adequately. The crew apparently is not adequately trained for sustained operations. The Moskva had been on station for a number of weeks before the incident occurred. It was likely that routine and fatigue played a role. Also, the equipment on board clearly did not work or was not in an operational state at the time of the attack, likely poorly maintained. When you compare this to the USS Cole, this event shows a significant divergence in readiness between the U.S. Navy and the Russian Navy. And those are the key takeaways and lessons learned from the sinking of the Moskva cruiser. Thanks for listening, everybody.